Okay guys, today we are looking at the A-Level PE paper 2 and in particular social principles part of it. The focus today is going to be on the concept of commodities and commercialization. So in the exam, you're going to need to know these three definitions, and this is more of a historical background that comes from the Industrial Revolution and early rationalization of sport. So the first is the concept of broken time payments, which is where players who are working within the industry were taking time off of their work to play the sport that they were playing, and this meant that if they weren't working, they weren't earning, and basically they were compensated for their time by the upper class, the rich benefactors, possibly the factory owners they were playing for. A playing professional is a term used to define the working class or the lower class, the poor players who needed to be paid to play their sport, whereas the gentlemen amateurs were the rich, the upper class, who didn't need money because they had enough of their own and they weren't compensated to play sports. Okay, so another key term that you need to basically know a definition of is the concept of commercialization or commercialism. It's basically where sport is a commodity which is used to generate income and revenue, and this is often through marketing and sponsorship. The other term is what is commodity. So we've covered the fact that commercialization involves commodity, and basically commodity is anything that is of value. So if you're willing to pay to play your sports, such as your fees that you pay to your clubs, that's a commodity. But also players can be a commodity if it has a value. So if a player is sold for a certain price, they are a commodity. So sport is where it has a value, financial value to it. So these are four terms that you really need to understand when we're looking at commercialization and commodities, and they are sponsorship, advertisement, endorsement, and merchandising. They are three different entities and they are often easily confused, so make sure you understand these with examples. So the first is sponsorship, where the actual process of paying the money to an individual or a team in return for their promotion, such as displaying the name, the logo, something that you're promoting, the company that is giving you that money. But the process of the money going over to the individual is the sponsorship. Advertisement is where the actual logo is being promoted, or the product is being promoted, so coverage or promotion of the company that is sponsoring the athlete. So advertisement is the displaying of that corporation and company. Now endorsements is slightly different, so it's where the athlete is paid to use a particular product, or is given the product to use. So many footballers are sponsored by particular football boot brands or sports brands such as Nike and Adidas, and they have to wear those boots. And golfers are have to use particular balls or clubs because that's who they're endorsing, and they're basically paid to use their equipment. And then merchandising is basically sale of goods linked to the sport in general, so replica t-shirts, replica football shirts, mascots, anything to do with the team or the sport or the individual that is promoting that person or that team. And again, you need to know these definitions with examples. So the sponsorship is like a company that is paying money to someone else, which could be all number of sports companies, and advertisement is then the teams showing that logo. So do remember that things like the Emirates sponsoring Arsenal, for example, sponsoring their stadium, that's an example of advertisement and sponsorship because they're sponsoring them. So this short video is only focused on commercialization and commodities, in particular looking at the key definitions. It's really AO1 topic knowledge stuff. You make sure you understand the definitions and you can back them up with examples.